2024 was full of great flights, great hotel stays, and great credit card welcome offers. But in this episode, we're only talking about the best. Keep listening to hear our best ofs for 2024. Welcome to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Pam, Alex's mom.
And I'm Jess. Let's talk points. So last week, we each gave a 2024 points and miles recap, and we shared the cards we opened, the trips we took. Today, we're sharing our best of 2024. So best hotel we stayed at, best flight we took, best welcome offer we took advantage of. So buckle up and let's go. First up is our best hotel stay of 2024. So Pam, I cannot wait to hear what you're going to say for this one.
Well, for me, it was a tie. I went back to the Grand Victoria Hotel Concept and Spa, which is in Lake Como. That is my living the lifestyle of the rich and famous hotel. I feel so bougie there. I mean, I'm walking around in my athleisure wear and everybody's got their Italian designer outfits and purses. And I'm just feeling like, oh my goodness, I may be out of place, but I'm loving every second of it. I love this hotel. I would love to go back. I booked this just before Hyatt lost the brand partnership with the small luxury hotels of the world. And so I booked it for the last time on Hyatt Points. Now it's still available to book through Hilton, but it's a lot more points. When I left, I was kind of teary-eyed. I was like, oh, will I ever come back? And my sister, was with me. She says, yes, we'll go back. Don't say never. So I may be able to save some of my Hilton points for that because I love that hotel. The hotel that tied with it was a hotel that did not have my radar at all. I was going to Abu Dhabi just because I wanted to fly a certain flight. We'll get to that later. And so they have a Park Hyatt. So I stayed at the Grand Hyatt first and then went over to the Park Hyatt. And this hotel blew me away. Not only is it an incredible place to stay, to go to Abu Dhabi when it's, snowy in Denver. I went there in January. The weather was incredible. I was able to pick up my daughter in London on the way. She went with me. I love this hotel, Park Hyatt, Abu Dhabi for the win, and also used a suite upgrade award. And we had the hugest suite. It was again, pretty much a lifestyle of the rich and famous moment. So that is never a bad thing to deal with. So both those hotels were my favorites. What about you, Alex?
Well, I was going to say real quick, I feel like sometimes you've been to Grand Victoria, you knew what to expect. And sometimes when you haven't heard a lot about a hotel and it's your first time going, you don't really have expectations, right? So it's very easy for those expectations to be exceeded. And I kind of feel like probably what happened there where you're like, oh yeah, it's a Park Hyatt. It's going to be really nice. But then you go and you're like, oh, wow, that was even better than I could have imagined kind of thing.
Totally.
Which I feel like the opposite happened to Jess when she went to the Waldorf Astoria, Los Cabos, Pedregal. My mom and I loved it and you liked it. But I think we just hear so much about that property and how amazing it is that sometimes those expectations can be maybe higher. And if you didn't go in with any expectations, you're like, oh yeah, that was really nice. I don't know.
Yep,
I mean, you
for
still
sure.
liked it, but I think my mom and I have we've talked about it between the three of us, and my mom and I are like, oh, we just loved it so much. Just I mean, I liked it, but I don't know. Okay, anyways, back to the topic at hand. My favorite hotel stay of the year was Canaves Oia Suites. Similar to my mom's, it's an SLH property, and I booked it using Hyatt Points, but Jess went to their sister property, Canaves Oia Epitome, used Hilton Points. So totally worth a Hilton free night certificate. Amazing use of a Hilton free night certificate. I mean, when we were there, I was like, this might be one of the nicest places I've ever stayed. The room it wasn't like the room was anything extraordinary. It's a cave house. So they built it into the cave. So it's really cool. But the views and our patio, the privacy, our plunge pool, it was an infinity pool plunge pool. It was jaw-droppingly gorgeous and just that was a pinch me, what the heck, can't believe this is possible with points and miles moment. Because just go look at my story highlight and you can see the room. Look for I think it's called Greece and London because we did both in the same trip. Obsessed with that property. The food there, so good. Loved it, loved it, loved it. What about you, Jess?
I'm just laughing because mine is the Conrad Bora Bora, and so all 3 of ours are bookable with Hilton points when we claim to
We're
be
Hyatt girls.
Hyatt queens.
That is funny.
That's so funny. Hilton
No.
knows how to do a luxury property.
They do. They do. It was really hard for me to choose because I stayed at some amazing hotels this year, but the Conrad Bora Bora was just the entire stay was just a pinch me stay, having that Overwater villa. It's just I was just sitting there every night and I was like, I would never be here without points and miles. I could never afford to spend $15,000 on a hotel stay, and so the fact that I got 5 nights there for free. I mean, I did pay a little bit to upgrade to the Overwater villa, but even just their suite, their standard suite there is huge and really nice. But yeah, we would just sit on the little deck and look at the stars. This so clear, you can see every single star in the sky. And I was just what is this? And how am I here?
Seriously, I know that feeling. And
Yeah.
it is just because we went there in 2022, the end of 2022, my mom and sister and I. We got an Overwater villa for our last night. And it just takes, personally, I know everyone has different opinions. From my perspective, I feel like it's a different trip getting an Overwater villa.
Mhm.
And I mean, you're talking lifestyles of the rich and famous. I feel like an Overwater villa in a remote island is right up there on the list of incredible experiences with points and miles. Granted, you got to pay to upgrade. We actually got upgraded for free our last night, so you can always ask and maybe you'll get it. But I mean, we have a trip there planned for 2025 and spoiler alert, coming to you in 2025. I am setting aside that money. We are paying to upgrade and I'm crossing my fingers they have availability because I really want to sit out in the stars like you did.
Yeah. No, so that was amazing. All right, so that's for hotels. So flights are up next. Pam, I don't even need to look at the outline to know what you're going to say your favorite flight of 2024 was, and I don't blame you because it probably would have been mine if I were on that plane with you.
Yeah. So this is, sometimes I will plan a trip around a flight. This is the second time, especially when it is an aspirational flight that a great deal has come out on. So a great deal came out for flights on Etihad Apartments, booked through Air Canada for 65,000 miles, which was insane. And then I was even lucky enough that it worked out and I got to fly it because there were some people that booked this and the flights were canceled on them. And I held my breath to the last second. I was like, nope, it's still there. It's still there. It was incredible. Very similar to Singapore suites, other than it was a very narrow cabin, but very big. You had a recliner that you sat in. Across from you was your bed that they would make up for you. The most incredible food. It was, you have caviar. I would say that I love caviar, but all the stuff that goes with the caviar is good. The caviar to me doesn't have much taste, but it's sure
Well, it's
makes you
just like
feel
I'm in the plane in the sky eating caviar. It's just crazy.
It's insane. The bathrooms in that there were 2 bathrooms. One actually had a shower, and I didn't do the shower in the sky this time just because it was a shorter flight, and I just didn't feel the need to because Emirates has a better shower in the sky, in my opinion. But it was so fun. My daughter, Lindsay, went on it with me and she would peek her head over sometimes and go, "This is amazing. I can't believe we're doing this." And so that, without a doubt, was my best flight of 2024. And it was just from London to Abu Dhabi, which was probably, I think it was about 8 hours. I'm thinking. And so it wasn't long enough. I would like to have 12 to 14 hours doing that, but I was happy just to do that, and it was an incredible experience. How about you, Alex?
All right, so my favorite flight of the year would probably be our business class flight home from Singapore to San Francisco. So we talk about this in much more detail in our Singapore podcast episode, but we had originally booked premium economy for 56,250 points. And it was like some special promo. So it was a really great deal. And we flew a premium economy over and it was great. Like so much better than I was expecting. And then at the airport, my mom had booked business class home. She got the last business class seat that was available. And so Jess and I are like, okay, we'll be fine. We'll tough it out in premium
We're
economy.
younger.
Yeah. We're at the airport and I'm like, let's look and see if they have availability. So we pull up the seat chart and we go up, like you act like you're buying a cash ticket and then you can see what's available. So we knew that there were seats available. So we go and we ask the lady at the ticket counter and she's like, oh yeah, you can upgrade if you want. And we're like, we go back and forth like, oh, should we do it? And they're like, where are the seats? Are they by each other? And like they were by each other. So we're like, oh, should we do it? And we said no. Then we walk over to my mom and she's like, no, you guys gotta do it. And we're like, Jess and I have never flown business class together. We're like, this will be so fun to like fly together. And so we did it. I don't remember how much it was.
I think it was like
expensive.
It was like 13 or 1400, I want to say.
We got
something
some.
around there.
I know it went with your rule, Jess.
Yeah.
Of only of
I think it was like
$100 per hour.
I think it was maybe 1,300.
I think it was 1,300, and then we also got the money that we spent on our premium economy tickets refunded. And so once we factored that in, I think it was closer to like 1,200 or 1,250. And it was a 14-hour flight. And
I think, wait, it was 14? The way there was 17 then, right?
oh, yeah.
One of them was
they had a tailwind that made it faster one of the ways, yeah.
It was a long flight. So Jess's rule is what? Share it with everybody, Jess.
It's just the Jess rule. It's not like you don't have to follow this rule. But
it makes sense.
For me, I prioritize my comfort on a plane. And so for me, it is worth it to spend up to $100 an hour to get a lie flat seat. I'm not talking about domestic flights. Like I'm not going to pay $400 to upgrade to domestic first class to fly to New York City. But if we're talking about like a 12, 14, 16-hour flight, I'm willing to pay like for a 12-hour flight, $1,200 or less to upgrade. 14-hour flight, $1,400 or less to upgrade. And so that's just my personal rule of thumb that I think Alex and Pam have adopted.
Yeah.
And it was totally...
I don't need to adopt it because I just booked business from the get-go. Although you ended up in the long run getting a better deal than I did.
Yeah. So, but I think it was totally worth it. Like we had so much more space and it was just really nice to be able to like sit next to each other and take content and like, pass the time. And we weren't supposed to be sleeping on the flight, but somebody was sleeping every time I went to go visit her.
Pam, not me. It was my mom.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, I just loved that flight because it was unexpected. It was like a really great surprise because one, like my back had been bugging me the last couple of days of the trip. And I was like pretty worried about sitting in a chair for, I don't remember if it was the 14 or 17-hour flight. Either way, it was crazy long. So I was like, okay, like this is going to be so much better. And it was just so exciting. We got to go to the amazing lounge in Singapore. And just, I think the unexpectedness was what was really fun about it and being able to do it together and get content. I mean, the flight attendant tucked me in for bed, you guys. I have a reel about it. And I did not ask her to do that. She's like, oh, do you want me to make your bed for you? I'm like, sure. So she just pulls. So their seats, like a lot of times in business class, you push a button and it reclines. Well, this one, they have to make it into a bed. It doesn't just lay flat. But the trade-off with that, or the really great part about it, the seats in the bed are huge. They're really wide. And so that was really nice. Sometimes they can be kind of narrow. And so if you're a bigger person, it can sometimes be a little uncomfortable. I mean, obviously way more comfortable than economy, but still. So it was so much room. I didn't have like the narrow footwells like you sometimes have. And anyway, so she came to make my bed, and then she started tagging me in, and Jess got on her camera. She's like, "What is happening?" And she records it, and it, like, of course, goes viral because who gets tucked in on a plane? So that was quite the experience. So
A-
it was just so fun.
Alex caused quite a stir with that video on Instagram. People were not happy about her getting tucked in. But I will say, I told her, I mean, that reel has gotten millions of views. And I was like, see, this one reel was worth us upgrading to business. But
Mm.
most of the comments are not nice comments.
Well, they're, like, acting like, Jess is like, you just had a really good comment. I forget what you said, but it was something along the lines of, like, I don't know. It was just a funny comment. Go check out the reel. It's on our feed. But your comment got, like, 16,000 likes or something crazy like that. Like,
I
your
think
comment got more likes than our normal reels get.
it was because some troll commented something like, "Why would you make someone tuck you in?" And I was like, "Make? No. Accept? If offered? Yes." And then, yeah, like 16,000 people liked that comment or something. So, anyways,
If you come at Jess, she'll win. Just kidding. That's the takeaway.
okay, so mine is not as exciting. No viral reels or nasty comments from my favorite flight, but it is the Turkish Airlines flight that Ella and I took from Denver to Istanbul in September. So that was a thrifty traveler alert. I got it. And like in the details, it tells you what kind of plane you're going to be on. And it said like Turkish's newer A350s. There's a door, you have your own enclosed suite. And I was like, oh, yes, weird. I texted Ella and I was like, can you go to Istanbul and then on to other places in Europe in September? And she wrote back and was like, yes. So I said, I'm booking this for us right now. So it was fun. We positioned out of Denver, which is not normal for us because we basically traveled further west just to fly further east. But it was nice because the flight was longer that way. And so we got to enjoy more time on the plane in these amazing enclosed suites. And I had the best corn soup of my life on this flight. And so
I think Turkish has some of the best food of any airline in the
I
sky.
I literally sit there and eat their food and I'm like, this is better than restaurant food. And they're preparing this on a plane and it's better than like you can find in a lot of restaurants. And so I immediately got off the plane and I was like, I just had the most amazing corn
She
soup.
did. She texted us.
And they had their little tea lights, like you get like a little candlelit dinner in the sky. I just love Turkish. And so the food plus the service plus like that really cool newer suite was just a really amazing flight. And it was only 65,000 Turkish miles per person that we transferred from Capital One. So like a really amazing deal plus a really amazing flight. All right, now we're going to move on to the best destination that we traveled to in 2024. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Alex is not going to say San Antonio, but Pam, why don't you go ahead and tell us what the best destination you traveled to in 2024 was?
Well, it's kind of sad because my best destination was a trip that didn't happen. We planned a safari to the JW Masamarai, and that was going to be on Marriott Bonvoy Points. I mean, amazing. It was a deal of the lifetime. It was going to be 70K Bonvoy points per stay. And first, my husband and I went to the island of Mauritius, which is also an incredible place to go to. Very gorgeous. We stayed at IHG Intercontinental there on points. While we were there the last night, I got an alert from Marriott saying that our safari had been canceled. There had been lots of flooding, and it was really, really sad. It was a mess. We do have a podcast about that if you want to hear more about it. But I had to quickly change our trip. The next day, our last day in Mauritius, I was glued to my computer. I was trying to figure out where are we going to go. The good thing about points and miles, as I've said before, is that they are usually refunded right back to you. And I was able to quickly pivot. We ended up going to Sardinia, and that was a great place that I would go back to. The sad thing about this was that I thought that Marriott might let me go back and do that trip again at that price. And I've reached out to them a couple times, and the consensus is, "Oh, we'd love to have you stay at the current price." Well, now that price is over 100,000. In fact, I was seeing them for about 106,000. Now I'm seeing them for about 160,000. I'd still like to make that happen. Even a cash stay for most African safaris is more doable than some, and we've heard from people that have really liked that stay. So I'm hoping that maybe not this year, because I've got this year pretty much planned out, but the next year I'm going to make that destination come true. So that would have been my best destination. Sadly, it didn't happen, but points and miles for the win and making something else wonderful happen. Alex, what was your best destination?
All right. So I chose somewhere that was new to me. Like if you listen to last week's episode, you know that we all went to some really incredible places. My favorite place, and I think this goes back to not really having a lot of expectations. And then when you go somewhere, you're like, oh, wow, that's so much. Like, didn't expect to love this place so much. So I would say Portugal surprised me the most. And I just really fell in love with it. Granted, the weather was incredible while we were there. Like, blue sunny skies every day. It is so cute with the trolleys everywhere and the architecture. It's just such a lovely city. And like I said in the episode where we recapped that trip, I want to go back there and spend like a month just living there in the adorable town of Cascais. It's just right outside right outside of Lisbon. I'm still like, okay, when can we make this happen? Like 2025 is booked up, but maybe 2026. And I'm kind of like skimmed it back to maybe just 2 weeks because a month is a long time. And I have a lot of other places I want to go, but it was one place where I was like, you know what? I think I could live here. Granted, I only was there in Cascais for about 3 hours, maybe even 2, but it's made its mark on me. What about you, Jess?
So my favorite was Japan, which I went to in January with Ella and Olivia. It was just magical and like my favorite country I've ever been to. And I was very pleasantly surprised. Like it's just beautiful and the people are so nice and it's clean and it's safe. And like culturally, it's just so different. And I just loved that about it. And so that's my number one. But my runner up is the Czech Republic. I was like completely blown away by Prague and our day trip to Český Krumlov, and I really, really want to go back to the Czech Republic. I think I'm going to take my mom next time. We've been talking because she was like, I want to go to that little town you went to, and I want to stay at the Andaz Prague. And I was like, I can make that happen. And so I think that is her request for our next trip. And then I'm going back to Japan in March. And so maybe I'll hit both up again in 2025. We'll have to just wait and see.
You know, as you're saying that, I'm thinking we're trying to plan a girls' trip with my mom and my sisters and for next year, which I'll share all those details as we figure them all out. But my mom and I talked about Czech Republic and going to Prague, but I have a sister who was just recently there, and I'm thinking Jess is going with her mom. Maybe I should go. Maybe my mom and I should go on a
Mom and daughter trip.
Yeah, just the two of us.
That's
I mean, if
right.
anybody else wants to come, they can come.
That sounds fun.
But I'm like, I really want to go to that Český Krumlov. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
I think
sounds
we should
fun.
do that.
Let's do it.
All right. So now we are going to talk about our best overall trip of 2024. So not just the destination, but just like your overall favorite. So Pam, what was your best trip of 2024?
Well, it's kind of like picking your favorite child. It's like, and speaking of
It's really easy then, right?
Yeah.
Just like it's me. It's really easy choosing your favorite destination.
And speaking of my
Just kidding.
favorite children, I do tons of trips. I've had tons of trips last year with my daughters. And so they were all great trips. And even one with my son. And so I kind of didn't go that direction because if I picked one of them, the others might have felt bad that I liked, one of them better. I could have picked Portugal. That was an amazing trip. But I went with the two places that I could go to year after year. I would have no problem every year going to Greece, no problem every year going to Italy. Would say that I've been to Italy so many times. I love the people. I love gelato. I love everything about it. And started going there before I started going to Greece, and now Greece is right up there with me. So anytime I can go to Greece and Italy, and I did both of them this year, those are probably my favorite trips. My trip with my sister to Italy was incredible because we went to Rome, we went to Lake Como, we went to Cinque Terre, did a lot of train rides. It was, and I laughed because as we have done so much traveling by Uber, by taxi, by little ferries to different places. We've done tons of trains. Here we are. We're two senior citizens and we're out exploring the world, and we did it, and we didn't have any major problems. So I think that makes me really proud that I can do that. So that's probably why I picked that as my best trips, is because I don't even have my girls who are probably smarter than me now to depend on, that I can still do this. So
You
Alex,
know, I think that's probably why I chose the trip I did, was just like when things go right and you kind of worry that things might not go right. And when they come out and you're just are like, oh, I did it. Like, we can do this. So for me, it was my trip with my husband and my kids to Amsterdam and London. I talked about in that episode having some nervousness going into that trip, just the logistics of it all and how we're going to do in a new country, of the red eye flight, transportation, just, there's a lot of anxieties that can come with traveling with young kids. And so
no mom to
and
pay for the tips.
no mom that was bringing the cash. No, just kidding. No mom that was going to be telling us where to go and what to do. Like, I was the adult in charge, and I'm not used to being the adult in the charge because I'm the youngest 5 in my family. So I just follow everyone else around. So I had to be the one in charge. And so it went so great. The kids did amazing on our long flights to and from Europe. They had so much fun. I loved seeing them in a new atmosphere in a different country with different languages being spoken around them. And it was just a really good first international trip. I mean, outside of Mexico, first international trip for them to Europe. And just really, for me, made it feel like, okay, we can do this. Like, we figured this out. We now have a more confidence. Will I be nervous next time? For sure. I'll still be nervous. But I'd be less nervous knowing, like, okay, we figured this out. We can do this again. We'll figure it out. Like, we've got some experience under our belt now. We are also, like I said in our last week's episode, we're headed to Hawaii soon. And that for me is a place I never get tired of going to. I just love the feel of Hawaii. It just has this really like special, magical feel to me. And so that will probably be pretty high up on the list of best trips of the year as well. So yeah, what about you, Jess?
So my overall favorite trip of the year, I didn't fully use points for, and that was our Disney Alaska cruise. And I just loved that all 6 of us were together, trapped on a boat, and we just had so much bonding time. But for real, like, Alaska has been a bucket list destination for me for a while. We lucked out with amazing weather and wildlife sightings and just so much fun having all 6 of us.
Your excursions looked incredible. Like,
Yeah.
never had any desire to go on, well, one, a cruise, because I worry about getting dizzy. And if you've listened, you already know that about me, if you've been listening for a long time. But I also didn't really have a desire to go on a Alaska cruise. And seeing your thing, I was like, oh man, that looked so fun. Like,
Yeah.
it looked so cool.
So we did use points to fly to Vancouver, and we stayed at the Hyatt Regency Vancouver in the days leading up to our cruise. But the cruise itself was more of a points earning opportunity. And so if we're going by best trip fully on points, I'd have to say, once again, Japan with Ella and Olivia. And here's a little hack for you, Alex. Once your kids are older, because see, what I did is I'm like, okay, Ella and Olivia, I will use my points for your flights and I will use my points for your hotel. But when we get there, you're doing all the logistical things. You're navigating us.
Love it.
You're finding the restaurants that we're going to eat at. And so that's, once they're old enough, you can like do a little bit of a swap like that. And so I kind of gave them the reins to plan a lot of the things that they wanted to do. But yeah, we just had so much fun, and we stayed at the Andaz in Tokyo, one of my favorite hotel stays ever. We became really close with the one of the women who worked at the restaurant, the breakfast restaurant there. Like, she follows us on Instagram now. And so when we go back in March, we're not staying at the Andaz, unfortunately, but I'm gonna message her beforehand, and we're gonna go have like breakfast at the Andaz just to see her. So, and then we stayed at the Park Hyatt Kyoto, which is an aspirational property and an amazing, amazing stay. So that was my best points trip of 2024. All right, next up is the best welcome offer of 2024. So it's not necessarily one that we actually took advantage of, but just the offer that we think was the best. So, Pam, what was the best offer in your opinion?
Well, actually, the offer that I thought was the best is one that I did take advantage of, and that was the Freedom Unlimited. It was a really unusual offer. I don't think they've ever done it before. It normally earns 1.5 ultimate rewards per dollar spent. They were going to match this at the end of the year. And so I earned pretty close to 350,000 points on that, and I'll get the match. So that's going to be 700,000 ultimate rewards. I am pretty happy with that. And so that was for me the best offer that was offered, and also the best offer that I took advantage of.
All right, Alex, what about you?
Mine would be the Inc. Business Preferred. They had an offer of 120,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points. That is a best ever offer for that card. And so I am all about, like, as you all probably already know this, we are all about Chase Ultimate Rewards. And so if I can get a best ever offer for a Chase Ultimate Rewards card, like, sign me up right now. I'll take 5. Just kidding. I'll take it. So that to me is, I think that was one of the best offers of the year.
And then what about the best offer that you actually
Oh,
took
that I
advantage
took
of?
advantage of. Okay.
Yeah.
So we did take it. I think Mitch got that one. I didn't get it because I had recently, I don't remember. One of us got it and one of us didn't, because one of us had recently applied for it with the standard offer. And so that's how it goes sometimes. And it wasn't like, usually you can send them a message and be like, hey, I just earned this, just had opened this card, but it had been too long. So I wasn't able to, request the higher offer, but it was too soon to reapply. Anyways, one of us got it, one of us didn't. So one of the best offers that we took advantage of was a targeted offer. And so this offer wasn't available to everybody. And it was an American Express Business Platinum for 250,000 points. This offer was really interesting at the time because people were talking about it online. And I know we discussed it in our Facebook group. And the offer had been going around, and there's all these steps like, oh, you have to open it in this browser. And then if this message pops up, it was like a wild goose chase to find this
Yeah.
250K offer. And if you found it, you might not still be eligible for it. You might get the pop up and stuff. So was like, I'm not jumping through all these hoops to find this. We're not even going to get approved for it, probably. Like, they're probably, because sometimes what happens is we won't be approved for some of these targeted offers. Doesn't mean we can't get the standard offer, but sometimes you'll be in pop-up jail for a targeted offer. So then, like, I just kept seeing people get approved for it. It's like, okay, I'll try. Like, I had tried minimally, like, put minimal effort into it and never could find the offer. And then someone posted a really good instructions on how to find it, and I found it and was able to get approved. So I wouldn't say that was the best offer of the year because not everybody could get it. That's why the Inc. Preferred was so good, is because it was available to everybody. It was a public available offer. Some of these other offers with American Express can be very tricky to get approved for or even find. And
I,
so, yeah.
I will say, though, that now by the time this episode comes out, I don't know if this will still be the case, but we do
Yeah.
currently have like our student referral links for
Yeah.
250,000 Amex Business Platinum. And so another perk of being a student is if the referral offer is higher than the public offer, we will collect referral links. And so not only are you getting this amazing 250,000 point offer and you don't have to jump through hoops like Alex did.
Yes. I'm like, why couldn't they have had this when I was going through? Like, I thought I was getting the deal of the century. And then now it's like, oh, yeah, that's like referral link offer.
Yeah. But anyways, we do currently have referral links. So if it's still around when this episode airs, you might want to take advantage of it and not have to open an incognito browser and do all those things.
Yes.
Okay, so for the best welcome offer of 2024, I did it by like what I think was the best offer for like a wide range of people.
Yeah.
And so I think the Inc. Business Preferred, like you said, was the best offer because it was like 120,000 points of our favorite points, $95 annual fee. With that card, you can transfer those points directly to transfer partners like Hyatt or United or Southwest. And so I think for like the general population, that card was a no-brainer and was the best offer for everyone.
And the minimum spend on that card is not something crazy. Like the business platinum, it's like $20,000 minimum spend.
Exactly.
I think the Inc. Preferred is what, 8?
8.
Yeah, so that's a lot more manageable for most people.
Yeah, so you're getting 120,000 chase points, $8,000 minimum spend, unlike, like you said, the business platinum, a whopping $20,000 in spend. And so that's why I think that was the best offer of 2024. I will say the best welcome offer that I personally took advantage of, I think, is the Capital One Spark Cash Plus. If you want to talk about high minimum spends, this one is $30,000 in 3 months. And so that's why I'm not saying it's the best offer of the year, because I know that minimum spend is out of reach for a lot of people. But if you do have a business that generates that many expenses, or like for us, I'm hitting a big portion of that with my estimated taxes that are due in January and some other end of year expenses that kind of all happen at once and allow me to hit minimum spends like that. But the welcome offer is $2,000 cash back, which can be converted into 200,000 Capital One miles because I have the personal Venture X card. And then with that 30,000 minimum spend, 2x on every purchase, I'm getting 260,000 Capital One miles, and the annual fee is only $150, which is another thing. Like the Amex Business Platinum, $695 annual fee, With the Capital One, I'm getting 260,000 miles, so 10,000 miles more, and $150 annual fee. So I feel like that is just, if you can hit that 30,000 in 3 months, I know it's a lot. I know a lot of people can't. If you can, that is an amazing offer.
The thing too is people are probably like, well, these were best offers of 2024. Like, I want to take advantage of them. Maybe the Sync Spark Cash Plus could still be going on. We don't know by the time this airs. But just check our best cards page, check our Instagram best offers. Every month we have the best offers there. Send us a DM. We do free credit card consultations. We can help you find the best offer for when you're ready for a card. But that's why it's so important to make sure you're following us on Instagram. Get on our email list. We always share the news of the best offers that are currently going on. So if you want to know when those are happening, that's where you're going to find it, is on our email list, and our Instagram. Facebook group is another great place to know too. Basically, make sure you're following us and you'll find out. Sometimes the podcast, we record ahead of time, so sometimes it could be a little bit lagged. So just make sure that you're finding us on those other areas to get the most up-to-date news with the most, like, the up-to-date offers, because 2025, fingers crossed, is going to have some amazing offers. Every year we have incredible offers, so don't feel like you missed the boat with any of these amazing offers, because 2025 will have some incredible ones too. I feel like that's one thing that stood out to me is people think, like maybe redemptions are getting harder, or it's, flights are costing more points or things like that. The offers are just getting better though too. And like I've never seen offers of as high as we've seen them in the last year or two. They just keep getting better. So I think 2025 is going to be another incredible year of credit card welcome offers.
Yeah, what a great year it's been. I hope you've enjoyed our 2024 Best of Awards. As I look back on my 2024 trips, all the memories, the credit card offers that I took advantage with, it's with a huge amount of nostalgia. This hobby has done so much for me. It absolutely blows my mind what Points and Miles has done for all of us. I can't wait to see how 2025 goes. This has been an amazing year, and we have so many great things to look forward to. If you'd like to experience travel like this, check out our webinar, How to Book Your Next Vacation for Nearly Free, and see what you can do next year. The link is in the show notes.
Thanks so much for listening to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button from wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Want to start jet setting even faster? Follow the links in the show notes to learn about everything we discussed in today's episode. And to stay connected and follow along, follow us on Instagram at Travel Mom Squad. We can't wait to see where in the world Points and Miles take you.